5 months into my dream job, I was working over 60 hours a week, pouring my soul into a project, only to be fired because my boss hated smokers. But I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just smiled, because I knew something she didn't. And 4 months later, she lost her job. And I? I was sipping cocktails in Bali with 15 months' worth of her budget in my pocket. If you've ever been disrespected, underestimated, or fired unfairly, you're going to love this story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and settle in, because this is one of the most satisfying revenge stories we've ever told. In the early 2010s, I landed what seemed like a golden opportunity. A content creator position at a university that wanted to dip its toes into the world of YouTube. Back then, video creation wasn't what it is today. No templates, no AI, no plug-and-play. It was just me, my camera, my laptop, and my creativity. They offered me a modest $2,200, which was tight, but acceptable for a creative role. I figured if I put in the effort, this could lead to something bigger. But on day 2, just my second day, the mask started to slip. My manager handed me my KPIs with a proud smile on her face. 85 videos. 3 to 10 minutes each. In just 52 weeks. Let that sink in. I was supposed to research, script, cast, shoot, compose music, and edit every single video. Alone. Using my own gear, because their equipment was ancient. Their computers couldn't even render in 720p, let alone 1080. When I voiced my concerns, my manager gave me that fake, empty, corporate smile. Just try your best, she said. If the videos are good, we won't focus on the quantity. That sentence would come back to haunt me. At first, she was polite. Supportive, even. But then, one afternoon, she caught a glimpse of me outside on a smoke break. And everything changed. It was like flipping a switch. Her warmth evaporated. Cold stares replaced friendly smiles. The passive aggression began. She began nitpicking everything. You smell like smoke. You were 10 minutes late. Why weren't you reachable during your lunch? Mind you, I was working over 60 hours a week. Often 6 days straight. I wasn't slacking. I was drowning. A colleague of mine quietly warned me. You told her you smoke? Man, she hates smokers. She's tried to get others fired before. Suddenly, I realized I wasn't fighting to stay ahead of deadlines. I was fighting to keep my job. I got summoned to the director's office. My manager was already inside, putting on her best concerned leader face. But I knew what was coming. The director looked me straight in the eye. You're falling behind, she said. You've only done 30 out of 85 videos. That's unacceptable. I explained everything. How I was working non-stop. How I had to wear multiple hats. How their equipment was prehistoric. I told them their YouTube views had skyrocketed because of my content. And, most of all, I reminded them of my manager's original words. Quality over quantity. But the director shook her head. The KPI is 85 videos. And we need someone who can deliver. Then, the knife twisted. My manager smirked. We'll find a professional production house to finish his work. The director nodded, looking past me like I didn't exist. Manager will get it done. And that's when it hit me. They needed a production house. And I was the only one who had that list. You see, as the only content expert in the department, I maintained a database of production contacts, companies we could use for larger shoots. And so, I corrupted it. I altered every single contact, wrong emails, dead phone numbers, incorrect names. All but one. One company. The one where my good friend was working as a junior director. I gave him a call. You want a fast track to full director? I asked. I've got a plan. You bring in your company to finish this university job, I'll make sure you get it, and you kick me a standard 15% finder's fee. Deal? He didn't even hesitate. Within hours, I was on a call with his general manager. The moment they realized the scope, 50-plus videos, 6 figures in payout, they were in. I handed them a playbook. What to say, what themes to pitch, what tone to use. I crafted a proposal so tailored, It would make it seem like they were born to work with this university. And guess what? 2 days later, they were invited to pitch. And they nailed it. The director and my ex-manager were floored. How did this production house so perfectly understand their goals, tone, audience? They didn't ask. They didn't care. They signed them on the spot. Now, let me tell you something about production houses. They don't come cheap. What they were paying me monthly. Each video now cost 2 to 3 times that, minimum. But that was the deal they signed. The production house rolled out videos at lightning speed. One every 2 to 3 days. And in just 4 months, they delivered 50 polished, professional pieces. Meanwhile, I collected a 15% finder's fee. By the end of it, I had made over 15 months of my former salary. Just for connecting the dots. I booked a trip to Bali. Took a break. Rebuilt my mental health. Enrolled in a prestigious overseas film school. I thought that was the end of it. But karma had one final gift in store. I was lounging poolside in Bali when my old colleague called. "You won't believe what happened," she said. "Your old manager? Fired. The director? Got absolutely blasted by the chancellor." Turns out, the entire video project only had a budget equivalent to a year and a half of my salary. They had blown it out by over 10 times. Why? Because my former manager was desperate to prove she could finish the project. She didn't even get proper approval for the massive expenditure. She wanted to prove she could get it done without me. Instead, she proved she couldn't do anything without me. My ex-manager was canned. The director was publicly humiliated by the chancellor. And I was chilling in Bali, drink in hand, watching the empire that tried to crush me collapse under the weight of their own arrogance. My friend? Promoted to full director at his company. Me? Paid. Respected. And finally free to pursue the career I actually wanted, without being micromanaged by someone who hated me for a cigarette. And the cherry on top? They paid 10 times what they could have paid me, just to clean up the mess they made. That's justice. That's revenge. And that is karma in 1080p. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud. It's quiet. It's strategic. It's watching the very people who tried to bury you choke on the seeds they planted. Remember, when people show you disrespect, don't just get mad. Get smart. Get even.